What's up, guys? So Sekiro, the latest nightmare from Software, has been out for a little over a week and has the gaming community in a frenzy, and rightfully so. So from the minute the game was announced at E3 last year, I honestly couldn't wait to sink my teeth into what the studio had cooked up since I fell in love with Bloodborne only a couple years earlier. Now, for me, Bloodborne was the first From Software game I played to completion and got so addicted that I managed to kill everything that could be killed, even down to the Chalice dungeons and the DLC. Now sure, the game was difficult like nothing I've ever played, but I welcomed the challenge, and in a sick way, I actually began to enjoy the abuse. So with that being said, Sekiro was going to be the game to scratch that lingering itch I had from that experience. I bought the game on release day, and before I even opened it up, I was reading comments from the community on Reddit, on IGN, and I was shocked. Gamers who were accustomed to this kind of game were struggling, an overwhelming amount of the community even saying it was harder than Dark Souls and Bloodborne by a large margin. Now with that being said, I finally played the game, and at first I agreed with that sentiment. So I was getting spanked and it seemed like a hopeless journey. The combat was brutal and intimidating, and partially the comment sections of websites I had been visiting invaded my psyche and made things worse. So fast forward to now, I'm currently over 50 hours into the game with only 2 bosses left to crush, and my opinion has drastically changed. So Sekiro is in no way, shape, or form harder than Bloodborne. Difficult, yes, but nowhere near that level of torture. Now I understand this is my opinion and every gamer is different. However, I will of course share the reasons why I feel this way. Now just a note as well, any footage that I'm using in this video is strictly from my playthrough. Just so we're clear, I'm in no way saying I'm a YouTube gamer god level at this game and will speed run through it using a Guitar Hero controller, but I'm good enough to have the meta locked in and make the game a fun, smooth experience. So first, I want to talk about the mechanics. Now from this standpoint, I think Sekiro is leaps and bounds ahead of Bloodborne. Sekiro combat is based around a strike and parry system that encourages being both aggressive and cautious, similar to Bloodborne. Now this is pretty much where those similarities end. Now Sekiro implements a posture bar for both the player and enemies and opens up a new option in terms of how to deal with these enemies. Now proper parrying, deflecting, and aggressiveness can fill up an enemy's posture bar until it breaks, staggering them for a death blow. Now I liken it to the stagger mechanic of Final Fantasy XIII, which was awesome. If you were good enough to stagger enemies, you could rack up an insane amount of damage. Now, this means you can kill an enemy without having ever taken a bit of HP from the vitality. If that's not for you, you can simply sidestep dodge attacks or leap over perilous attacks instead of countering and follow up with your own. With Bloodborne, you are locked into horizontal play with the twitch mechanics of dodging and striking, and you also have to worry about your stamina bar at the same time, which limits your attacks and can open you up for failure should it run out mid-combo. Jumping back to the parry mechanic for a second, both games implement a parry system, and if you were able to parry in Bloodborne for a visceral attack, that kind of precise timing should carry over to Sekiro just fine for deflecting. Now the verticality of Sekiro also makes things easier with the ability to bat grapple out of situations at times to regroup when the going gets tough. I also saw people complaining because in Bloodborne and Dark Souls, you could essentially grind to get stronger and get the 1-up in future encounters. In Sekiro, there is no real grind, you just build skill points to purchase different techniques. Now in my opinion, the grind is not necessary since the prosthetic arm tools provide a wide range of weapons and ways for you to dispose of enemies, and stealth death blows are also an option, with each area having several paths that you can take, some which are hidden of course, to deliver stealth blows to surrounding enemies. Now to be honest, even if you don't stealth kill the standard fodder, they are not difficult to kill by just mashing R1 and destroying their posture. In addition, you can learn a ton of new combat arts and ninjutsu and even martial arts to make your playstyle more unique to what you need for success. In Bloodborne, even the standard enemies would run your shit on a consistent basis. For example, the enemies in Upper Cathedral Ward, ruining your progress, causing you to lose your blood echoes, sending you back to the last checkpoint lamp, which could be forever and a day away from your lost echoes, And even then, the enemies were so dangerous you could easily die on your way back to your precious currency and lose it forever. Now in Sekiro, dying does cause you to lose half of your skill points and money, but that's not a big deal since all of that is super easy to recover, not to mention the fact that resurrecting from death is a main mechanic of the game, and as you progress, you have the ability to come back to life up to 3 times before it's all really over. Let's also mention that Sculptor's Idol's checkpoints are plentiful and usually right outside of a boss area, making it really easy to jump right back into combat. Now speaking of bosses, this is a huge area where Bloodborne trumps Sekiro in difficulty. Most bosses in Bloodborne, take up the whole screen, making this extra chaotic, and not only are you fighting the AI, you're also fighting the camera trying to get in position to properly strike or find a weak spot. This makes the experience much more hellish and intimidating by far. Now bosses in Sekiro are manageable and come down to the mastery of the main mechanics of the game, so whenever you die it really feels like it's your fault and not complete bullshit like you may have experienced in Bloodborne. I'm in the end game and no boss or mini boss has come close to the horrors of fighting bosses like Chalice Dungeon Amidala, which was in an area where your health bar is cut in half and you take double damage from magic or Orphan of Kos. In fact, Sekiro gives you a 1-up on an overwhelming amount of the boss fights, allowing you to sneak a death blow to instantly shave off a health bar before the fight begins. It's actually a pretty big handicap, and from there you have no excuse other than your own lack of skill for dying. Now if the combat is too hard, there's even a spot where you can go and practice the mechanics. There really is no excuse to complain about difficulty when the game provides so many options for playstyles and a practice mode. Even in the narrative department, Sekiro is not hard to understand like Bloodborne. I will venture to say that the majority of Bloodborne players have no real clue what the game is about, myself included, because the lore is vague and intentionally tucked away to let the gameplay shine. Sekiro has an amazing, clear-cut story with some nice twists and a clear goal. Bloodborne has a special place in my heart and is still a masterpiece and was in my top 2 games of this generation, and I think Sekiro may have beaten it out by a slight margin. Now this video is mainly for the Soulsborne community who has been the most vocal about difficulty. Maybe you can try doing what I did after struggling at first. Take a step back, realize this is a completely different game, appreciate all of your options, and just make a note to yourself that maybe you just need to get good. But how do you guys feel? Are you guys playing Sekiro? Are you stuck? What are you stuck on? What is hard about this game for you? I would like to hear. Of course, this video is just my opinion, but I welcome the opinions of others as well, and I really would like to know what is so tough about this game. What are you guys struggling about? Let's go ahead and talk about it. As usual, follow all my socials at your boy Roshi, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Check out the merch store. The link to that is down below in the description, and consider becoming a patron. I greatly appreciate it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you have a great day, and I will catch you guys next time.